Welcome everybody, I'm DarkHour717 and we are out here on Arc L1 in the 314 live verse. Now that 314 has come to the live verse, we're going to take a look at some of the changes, especially with your HUD, that will affect your mining capabilities. We're going to look at a couple different locations, including Lyria and also her L3, and see what other changes that we can notice through this process, and that way we can be up to date on all of the latest mining ins and outs. So we're going to grab the Prospector from here, we're going to go down to Lyria, and we are going to see what we can find down there, how well we do, and go from there. So let's go get our ship. Okay, so before we pull our ship here, we want to make sure that we have it outfitted the way that we want to run it. And for Lyria, I use a slightly different loadout than what I would use for HUR-L3, though this will also work for HUR-L3. So on here I have the Lancet MH1 mining laser, which for the Prospector and also for the Mole in the size 2, I find that this is actually the best laser to use. I've tried the Helix before, it didn't seem to be as efficient, and I've been sticking with the Lancet ever since. So this is definitely a great choice. In our module slots here, I have one of our consumable modules, which is the Surge. This will give you 5 shots of a powerful burst of energy that's going to shoot that charge gauge up towards the green and give you a really good punch to the rock to get it going. We also have our Riger C3 module, which is the 3rd level of the Riger, which increases your OptiCharge window. And then we also have our Torrent 3 module here, which actually increases our laser power to help us get through those bigger rocks in a quicker manner, and also just get a little bit more punch for our money. Now the 3rd tier persistent modules, again, these are persistent because you don't have to activate them. Once they're put onto your ship, they're always active, unlike the Surge that you have to activate, and you got 5 activations and then it's gone. These will always stay constant until you crash your ship or 30k or something like that, and then you'll have to replace them. These are more expensive for the 3rd tier. They are available in a 2nd and 1st tier for less AUEC, but their effects will be slightly lower than what they provide here. With the Riger 3, I'm getting a 10% increase, and with the Torrent 3, I'm getting a 4% increase on the laser. So in the smaller modules, the Torrent will go down to 3% and 2% on the laser, I believe, and on the Riger, the increase of the OptiCharge window diminishes down all the way to, I believe, just the level 1 only gives you a 6% increase in the size of that window. So we have these all set. As far as propulsion, I make sure I have at least an Atlas on there. That way I can time everything properly to get back to the station on time and not lose any quantanium that I get. And of course I also put a more powerful cooler and power plant on there, and at least a Palisade shield, which is the top tier shield for this, in case I get intercepted by pirates. I have some defense to buy me some time to get out of there and get to a safe spot. When you're in a Prospector, you're not going to turn around and fight, you just want to get out of there. Weaponry, I'll throw my attrition 3s on, or attrition 1s on there. And again, that's going to be for self-defense. It's not going to be to take down a ship. It's just to buy you time to get out of the area and get away from any pirates that find you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this, and we are going to go ahead and pull our ship. Alright, and as you can see, we have our new wedge style HUD with our weapons on the right, our fuel quantities on the bottom right, and of course our decoy and noise quantity down there, and our systems over there on the left with our limiter as well as our velocity gauge and our altimeter on the right, along with our pitch. And we are going to head on out to Lyria.
Please visit again.
So as you're coming into Lyria here, you want to make sure that you're careful of your elevation, because very low gravity, if you come down too fast, it's going to be very easy to crash right into the ground. So you want to pay close attention. I typically try to come to the dark side of the planet or the moon, because of the fact that during the daytime the ice and snow can make it very difficult to see the rock icons from your scanning, as well as to read the HUD as you're trying to see the percentages and everything. So in the twilight or dusk and the dark, it works a little bit better for me. And we've got plenty of rocks right around us as it is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to check some of these out. Now, before you actually start scanning, some things to be aware of with 314 is making sure all your keybinds are set. There have been changes to the keybinds. So if you go into the options menu, if you're on keyboard and mouse, you just go to keybinds here, and I find it's easier to go to the advanced control customization. And what you'll notice is this top category is brand new. And you're going to want to go in there and make sure that your scanning mode toggle is set. Now the default is V as in Victor. Now that used to be coupled mode. Now that's been changed to another keybind, and V is now how you activate your scanning mode on and off there. Also, default for your mining mode is still M, so that stays the same. Another one you're going to want to check is you're going to want to come down to flight radar and make sure that your active ping is mapped as well too. Default is going to be tab. So tab that used to turn on your scanning mode is now used for your active ping, where you can actively emit out that ping and get a read back of what's close by and what's around you. Now the other thing you're going to want to also take a look at is your active scan, and your active scan is going to be here under vehicle scanning. Default is going to be the button 1 on your mouse, and that's what's going to allow you to pinpoint in on a ship, a rock, or something like that, and hold it down while it scans it and gives you all the details and everything as far as the breakdown. With ships, it will tell you life forms on board, cargo it's carrying, things like that. So you're going to want to make sure that that is bound as well too. If you're using a HOTUS, Hostess, or gamepad, then I found with my Hostess setup, it wasn't automatically mapped. I had to map it to a button that was going to be comfortable for me, and had to adjust a couple things with all the new mappings and everything for 314. So a couple things of there that you want to make sure that you check before you take off from the station and get going on this. So we will go ahead and bring up our scanning mode, and as you can see, the ring is still there. It's slightly smaller. Now you can still use your mouse wheel to increase or decrease the size of that circle, which widens and narrows your ping range. And I've been leaving it at the full size. If I adjusted anything, it's only by one click, and I find I get good results there. And then when you actually send out a ping, you'll see it actually is a wave that goes through and highlights the terrain even, so it gives you a little bit of ability to see the terrain ahead of you if it's very dark, like if you're on Aberdeen or Hurston or something like that. Alright, so let's go check out some of these rocks. Now the one thing to remember, in scan mode you do not have the ability to adjust your limiters, so if you want to adjust that, you got to turn scan mode off and then back on if you're going to adjust that limiter. So as an example, we'll come up here on this rock here, which looks like it's probably going to be a Quantanium rock, and we will actively scan that. You can see the gauge going up there on the right, and all of our details will come up on the right there. And we have Bexelite, Corundum, and Hephaestonite. Now you'll notice that those percentages are absolutely crazy. These right now, a current bug in the system is that these are incorrect. But what you have as far as information, the breakdown of the components is correct, just the quantity is wrong. But your mass is going to be correct, as well as all the other information here. Now, if you go into mining mode, and mining mode I find takes a little bit more getting closer to the rock for it to really kind of lock in on it. Sometimes I just got to throw it out a ping there, and that will help get it locked on. And you'll see there that your percentages are correct. So big difference there. If you're in scanning mode, in the active scan, you'll have the incorrect percentages, but go into mining and you'll be able to get those. Now changes here are few and far between. On the mining mode side, we have all the breakdown just like we did on the right again. We have all of our modules on the left, including our consumable modules like the surge, where we have limited use of that item, and then our persistence like our Riger and our Torrent 3 modules that are persistent. Up here in the top, we still have our mining laser information with the range indicators telling us if we're sufficient, too far away, or optimal distance. And of course, you have your OptiCharge gauge. And on the top right or far right there, we also have our cargo capacity and current fill level indicator. All right, so nothing much on this rock. We're going to go back to scanning mode, and we're going to go look for something juicy to mine here. So what we actually have here is just over 31% of Quantanium. So that is an excellent rock to do. And we have 3 others here as well too. And this one's a 2% rock. Now Quantanium usually comes in groups, either 2 or more rocks. Sometimes I'll find a single rock that's got 2%, but for the most part the ones that are going to be worth going after are usually in groupings of 2 or more. This one here, yep, no Quantanium in that, and I would expect that that one over there is not going to have any Quantanium either. So we're going to go back to this one that's got 31%, and we are going to try and get that one. So we're going to come out of scan mode and mining mode here and adjust our limiter down so we get as little drift as possible. We've got the VTOL going. And we're just going to go back into mining mode here, and we're going to move in on the rock until we get that orange highlight and our effective range shows as optimal in that top left corner of our HUD. Alright, so there we are. We're at optimal. And I'm going to just lock my pitch down for right now. And we have our gauge there, so we're going to go ahead and fire our laser. Check our controls, make sure it's working properly. And we're going to get this just starting. Now, in 3.14, we do have that glitch that if you're on the center of the rock, it is possible that that gauge will disappear. If you just adjust slightly, it should come back. And now that we've got the laser warmed up, not necessary, but it's just my personal habit, we're going to go ahead and we are going to hit that with the surge, and you'll see that that jumps it up. And we're going to just slightly move in a little bit. And then we are going to try and get it in those cracks to keep it moving up. We may have to do a second surge. We want to try and get lined up on one of those cracks. And we hit it with the third surge there. We've got it in the middle of the green, and we're just going to try and keep it right there if we can. It is now broken. So let's see what we got after that break. This one you should not need any of the surge. These should be easily breakable. Of course, don't forget, on the bottom right corner of your HUD is your timer for the volatile level of the Quantanium. And from Lyria to Arc L1, it's about an 8-minute travel time on the Atlas. And that should fill us up, I believe. Alright, and you'll see that I have the yellow indicator going off in the cockpit here, and that is a sign that we're reaching the limits of the volatile cargo. Once you get that yellow light, you have 8 minutes to get landed and get in. Now, one trick is, in previous videos I've said you can definitely suicide to auto store your ship so that the timer stops counting, but unfortunately in 3.14 there is a glitch going on that if you store the ship, for some reason, randomly, sometimes the Quantanium can go completely inert. So if you're hauling Quantanium, don't store the ship. You want to just go straight down to the refinery as quickly as you can. Alright, so 113,000 unrefined, so we're going to go ahead and we are going to get a refinery job in on this. So we'll just come to this console. We're going to go here, select our Prospector, and we're going to set up a work order. With Quantanium, you always want to use Dink Solvenation. It takes the most amount of time, but it costs the least amount and you get the highest yield. So we'll get a quote here. 1 day, 15 hours, cost me $57.60. That is more than acceptable, as we're probably going to make off of that 226,000 off that one single rock. All right, so we've got our work order in day and a half, just over. We will come back, collect it, and we'll be able to take it out to sell it at one of the TDDs. Okay, so I'm back here on CRUL1, and well, mixed results. When I went to Lyria, I was able to find a really good rock, made a good amount of money there, and got that refining out at ArcL1. Then I came out here to CRUL1 to head over to HERL3, and much like what we saw since even before 3.13, going through HERL3, there were a number of rocks that were not scannable. New issue came up that I even came across rocks that registered with nice amounts of Quantanium, 20% and higher, but it wouldn't react to the laser. I hit it with a surge, so the gauge would go up and then freeze in place, and then trying to move it from there, it would not move, and when turning the laser off, it would not go down. So I decided to try the air and halo, and actually went to 2 different spots within the halo. I found about 5 nice groupings of rocks, and lo and behold, not scannable. Found some single rocks all out there by themselves. They turned out to be scannable, and they would register on the mining laser, but they were all tungsten, corundum, beryl, things like that. I think the most expensive thing I found out there that was mineable was diamonds, and maybe a little bit of hephaestonite. Nothing else other than that. So appears there might be something going on with the asteroid mining. Now, I have done a few other mining trips and have found similar results since the launch of 3.14, especially around HERL3. And tonight was the first time that I actually went out to the air and halo. Tried a couple of new spots. It could just be my bad luck, but I'll be keeping an eye on it. And definitely put comments in below if you're seeing different results than I am. But this could possibly be a sign that there might be an issue with asteroid mining, and I will keep an eye on it and let you know if I find any different results. It appears though that surface mining though is not an issue. I ran into only one glitch where my mining laser switched by itself from mining mode to extraction mode, and that only occurred once, and I quickly switched back and was able to finish out the rock. But yeah, some issues going on here, possibly something worth keeping an eye on. Hopefully the guide will help you, and I wish you all the best of luck. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Also follow on Twitch and catch the stream every Sunday and Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And keep your eye out for our new content, which will be coming out in a couple days. The State of the Verse. We're going to be trying to do a weekly podcast style type video where we go over some news and information released by CIG, as well as our own experiences within the verse. So keep an eye out for that. Till then, we will catch you next time.